Hello. If we're live and you can see us, let us know. I'm up here on Longmoor with these Shetland cattle, and Guy, who's just over here with me. There he is. And we're going to chat to you today a bit about the heathlands, this heathland here on Longmoor. I'll just start by giving you a bit of context as to where we are. So this is my map. Hope you can see it. So we're in the South Downs National Park, and we are kind of in the middle of the park up towards the north. So the geology here is just right for our heathlands. And this is one site that's part of our Heathlands Reunited project. So there are 41 sites in total in the project area. And we're over here on Longmoor, quite close to Borden, if you know Borden. And we're a partnership project. We work together with 11 different partners, including the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, which is who Guy works for. And we've had Kev with us this morning, the training safety marshal for the MOD. He's helped
He didn't want to be on camera.
He didn't want to be on camera, no.
He legged it.
But he'd helped us this morning to get onto site and find the cows. So it's a really great example of our partnership working in the Heathlands Reunited project. So we're going to start today. Guy's going to tell us a bit about heathlands generally. He's going to tell us a bit about the plants, and then we're going to move on to talk a bit more about the cows. If you've got any questions, please just let us know. And pop them in the comments box below as we go through. We'll be really happy to answer anything that you'd like to know.
We've got some communication going on there. It's like the only one left out. We're all like, okay, I can see.
So
Cool, yeah. So Longmoor is just wonderful. Basically, it's 300 hectares of heathy goodness, and I think it's so precious these days. Well, I'll talk a little bit about heathlands in general. So heathlands have been around for about 14,000 years, and they've only really been managed, I guess, in the last 3,000. I say only between 3 and 5,000. Heathlands are made up, I suppose, lowland heathland anyway, which is what this is below 300 metres. It is a mosaic of damp, wet and dry habitats. We have it's basically a place that is just riddled with rare species. I mean, there are so many rare species here. It's, especially over the entire site. I mean, for instance, there's a place over by we call it Tank Hill, and we've got all 6 species of reptile out here. We've got loads of really good positive indicator species. So it's a fantastic place. Unfortunately, heathlands as a whole, though, are really suffering. So heathlands rarer than rainforest, for one. It had an area of I think we're down to 15% now of the total area that used to be here in the 1800s. So we've literally only got 15% of that, and that's the equivalent of an area the size of Cornwall reduced to the area the size of the Isle of Wight. So it's pretty bad. There's a number of reasons for it. We've got fragmentation of the habitats. We've got intensified farming practices. We have succession, which is coming in through poor practice, really, but a lot of scrub, so your birch and a lot of the pine saplings kind of come up, and yeah, we have a lot of we do have problems. I guess the main problem actually at the moment, or recently, probably consist of dirt bikes, scramblers and stuff, so we do have problems with that. That scares off the wildlife. It erodes the tracks and pretty much destroys the vegetation. So we do have our own problems that are kind of closer to home and probably more recent. Even some of the lichens and liverworts that need their nutrients essentially from it's lacking from climate change, I think is the problem. But we do have some fantastic species. So I mean, what was I going to say?
Should we have a look at this heather down here?
Yeah. Oh no. Apart from the heather. Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess it's not all bad news in as far as we do still have 20% of the world's heath, which I think equates to around 60,000 hectares last I saw. And we have some fantastic partnership working. So we need to try and kind of keep these areas alive and open and reconnected, and that's exactly what this partnership that we're in does. So partnering between the Hampshire Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, the MOD, Amphibian and Reptile Conservation, and of course the South Downs Heathlands Reunited. So it's trying to recreate those areas that have been lost, to reconnect them, and really to try and kind of get it on people's mindsets really, and just try and get people knowing and talking about heaths, coming out here, practicing good practice, and essentially trying to inspire and educate the public. So yeah, as Katy was alluding to there, we've got some species here, and we've got a few bits and bobs that you might see as you come here, and you might want to have a look at. You've got the cows that are kind of in the wings, bless them. So here's School Corner. As long as the cows stay over there and they don't trample over School Corner, we're going to be good. Here we are. So, heathlands you will automatically kind of see as heathers. And we have all those species here. So we have Erica cinerea, which is our bell heather, and Katy will come in and get a closer look at that in a minute. Erica tetralix, which is your cross-leaved heather, and then we have ling, or normal heather, Calluna vulgaris. So the tetralix is cross-leaved, and you'll see in a minute it's got these tiny little hairs, and it gives it this kind of silvery quality, but it's also crossed from on top, so you'll see that. But also it's really dainty and delicate. It's got this beautiful purple colour from the base, and it kind of comes out to this kind of white tip, but it has this this lovely kind of mauve purple colour across the entire site. This site does become literally just a sea of purple at around August. Then you have the bell heather. A bell heather, you've got a very different construction and leaflet. You'll see that when you get closer up, and with this very specific bell shape, which is always like that. It's always swollen throughout the year. You'll see it through all of its stages. And then we have ling, which does also come up in the same way. Kind of almost looks like a little bit more like a pine leaves, and the structure again is very different to the other three, so you can take a quick close up of that if you like. Alongside those, we as the trust will do things called rapid condition assessment, so we'll ensure that we're assessing the flora and ensuring that everything's still heading in the right direction. So by doing that, we can tell if the positive indicator species are still here, if they're increasing or decreasing, and we can see that, or we can use that information to see that our management is working in the right way. You get a good picture of that?
I think so, yeah.
So with regards to management, we again using Heathlands Reunited as well as the Amphibian and Reptile Conservation and ourselves, we've created some fantastic habitat out here. We create a lot of scrapes, and we create some fantastic woodlark habitat. In fact, I think I've got woodlark here. The big three: woodlark, Dartford Warbler and nightjar. So here's our, well, in fact, hopefully I'll still have a sound clip of them. Yeah. Now you'll almost certainly have heard this. I think this is a fantastic bird. I'll hold it up and I'll play it. be this stage from up to down, coming up now. Isn't that cool? So it's that beep, 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 and that is textbook woodlark. And you'd have heard this, I'm sure, loads of times every time you've come down here. But they're very good. They particularly like newly managed habitat, and they like that mosaic between the woodland and the heathland. So they'll like lovely scrubby patches, which is exactly what the cows really give us. And these kind of tussocky scrubby patches, but newly felled kind of areas, newly cleared areas. Good 360-degree kind of vantage point, and insectivores. So they'll pick around for the insects. We also have the fantastic Dartford Warbler. Plenty of Dartfords here. I'll get that up as well. Dartfords nest in the middle of gorse bushes. Perfect. These are good examples actually of building gorse. They'll nest in the middle, but they'll perch on top and they'll call. They've got quite a scratchy call. It's pretty busy and it's pretty quick. In fact, that was it. But it is that kind of very busy, scratchy kind of call, and you can't really mistake that for much else when you're out on the heath. And then of course we have the weirdest of sounding birds, the nightjar, master of camouflage. This is this little guy. The chances of seeing this are remote, but you might have heard, or you might have been on some nightjar walks and heard them call. Believe it or not, this is the nightjar. That is crazy, isn't it? If you go out on a nightjar walk, you will hear this and you will think, there is no way that is coming from that bird. But it does. They are fabulous. So I do heartily advise going to see them. So we have a lot of other bits and bobs here, but completely happy to open out the questions on kind of species. I mean, we can walk around actually, Katie, if you'd like, and just have a look at a few things. I know that the majority of what we're going to get out here, for example, is purple moorgrass, which is what the cows are eating and trying to keep down. Let's get a nice big tussocky purple moorgrass. Here we go. So it's pretty open out here. This is all pretty much purple moorgrass. Over here, this is all bent species, agrostis. But the cattle in themselves will create this bare ground that we so need on the heathlands. To create the bare ground and to have that means that we've got more pioneering heather like this, for example, and on a lot of heath there's not so much structure sometimes, and that's actually what becomes a bit of a problem. We want a good balance and diversity of structure, so we want pioneering up to building, degenerate and dead. We want a bit of everything, because the more habitat you have, the more structural diversity you have, the more species you'll get, for sure. But unfortunately, if you have too much of something, of course, like too much heather, not enough bare ground like this, nothing will really grow and rejuvenate. It's kind of crazy that we're kind of in the middle of here. I'm looking for purple moorgrass, and actually most of it is back down the other way. The purple moorgrass really is the stuff that's I mean, we've got more sedges and stuff up here because we're in a small wetter kind of area, but purple moorgrass is essentially the stuff that is going to be across the majority of the heath. It's the only deciduous grass we have, which means that it has this kind of thatchiness in the bottom, which is a problem for wildfires. So again, when the cows come out and start eating this stuff, it means that not only do they reduce that element of fire risk, but they also create fantastic tussocks just by curling their tongues and just by the way they feed and eat. So we'll see some of that in a minute as we follow them. I think they're heading over to the shade, they're not dark.
Guy, what would you say to anybody who might be thinking about bringing a barbecue out to the countryside?
Yeah, why would you? First of all, I mean, there are picnic areas, there are amenity grounds, there are country parks, there are sangs. There are so many places where a barbecue would probably be a little better off. Here, it's like a tinderbox. I mean, I've just talked about the grasses, not really giving you much of an example of them, but I'm sure we'll see some in a minute. But it's so dry that not only are you endangering yourself and others, but you're endangering this prime habitat, this habitat that's been trying to grow for, you know, hundreds of years, and it's just this circular black patch of nothingness. It's and not only that, unfortunately, it spreads quite literally like wildfire.
Yeah.
So, and as soon as it spreads, you've got species that can't get away from it. I mean, forget about it for reptiles, they're all going to get burned. So they're all going to die, and it's only really things that can get away fast enough, like birds, etc. And it's a real shame. As I say, I mean, we've literally only got 15% of what we used to have in the 1800s, so it's so precious. Just
keep the barbecues at home.
Don't bring out the barbecues. Bring out your binoculars. Bring out lots of water.
Yeah.
Take your litter away with you. No one really needs to see that or want that. I mean, we you know, heathlands as a whole are a they're poor nitrate species or land, and by adding nitrates like dog feces, for example, or banana skins or whatever else, it does increase that, and it changes the ground. I mean, it should be a pH of around 3.5 to 6, so it's acidic in nature. So again, more and more reason for us to take everything back with us, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to ruin this? Oh, this is just
It is beautiful.
absolutely stunning, isn't it? It is beautiful. So yes, please do keep your barbecues at home, or find a suitable place to take them. Yeah.
For anybody who might have only just joined us, we're on Longmoor at the moment, which is owned by the Ministry of Defence.
Yep.
And looked after in partnership with the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust and the Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Trust, and they are all partners in our Heathlands Reunited project, which you can find out a bit more about on our website if you want to know more. And I believe, Guy, are we heading off to see the cows now?
We'll go and see if we can find some coos.
Great.
And I'll take some bits with me. See if we can't find some of the best spotted purple moorgrass. I can't
On the
believe
way.
it. Everywhere else.
Well, maybe the cows are...
Emperor dragonfly, do you see that?
Ooh, I'm not sure we're going to pick that up on the camera, but...
Fantastic. There it is. This place is crawling as well with silver-studded blues. Textbook heathland species. Really, really good. Absolutely loads of them. Having a fantastic year. Good butterflies, good dragonflies, just generally. There's a pond down there that the cattle were drinking in, and it's just covered in dragons and damsels at the moment. Never underestimate the importance of cow dung. Get a good zoom in on that, baby. None of them are wormed, and our cow dung, the cattle's cow dung, is associated with no less than 200 invertebrates and insects.
Wow.
So the net gain, and I know why some people will say, well, you know, if it's a poor nutrient land, why is cattle dung going to be good? Surely that's bad. Yes, it would be bad, but the net gain of what the cattle remove from the heath, i.e. the purple moorgrass and that thatchy material, easily outweighs the dung that they leave behind. As well as, of course, as I say, the emperor. Don't know if it's the same one. So I'm just going to keep randomly shouting out things as we see them. See a lot of bell around here, so we saw bell, that kind of swollen bell shape. You see that? This is Europaeus gorse, this is the spiky stuff, very spiky stuff. We do have dwarf gorse out here, which is the stuff that you can literally rub your fingers across and not get spiky. There we are. Right, if we go this way, Katie might be able to get through.
So for anyone just joining us, we are heading off to try and find the cows at the moment.
Yeah.
So Guy can tell us a bit about their job. Here we go.
So this is what I mean by this kind of thatchiness in the middle. So the only deciduous grass, as I say, which means this stuff. So that's the stuff that's going to go up if you drop a cigarette or, God forbid, bring out the barbecues. So it's this stuff that goes up But it's this that the cattle are fantastic at chomping and eating, and they will get through this really well, really quickly, and reduce that fire risk and just bring everything down. But you can see already just from here the difference in structure. So you've got some nice tusky shorter stuff here, you've got the taller stuff here, smaller stuff there, and then you've got the headers on a lot of edge habitat. Oh, and you've got a spent smoke grenade, which, by the way, I should definitely state, no one should be picking up. So you might see some shells, you might see some cartridges, you might see some spent stuff like this. It's MOD stuff, by law states. Don't kick it, don't pick it up, don't take it home with you. There we go. But that kind of structure is fantastic for butterflies, for example. So the optimum kind of size or range, I believe, is somewhere between like 6 and 7 centimeters, so anywhere from 3 to 8, and you get this this diverse range of insects and enjoying it. But these beautiful patches and this kind of edge that we've got here is what it's all about. It's really good. Let's go and have a look. I think they're just round here.
So we're just coming through quite a big patch of bracken here, Guy.
Yeah. Bracken, I mean bracken as well as scrub, you definitely want to keep a little bit of it, but bracken of course does take over for sure. I don't know if we do a lot of management for bracken. I think we have sprayed it in the past. Oh, here's some heath bed straw, can you see that? Lovely little white flower at the bottom there. I believe that's a positive indicator as well.
So what is a positive indicator?
Positive indicator, yeah. So basically that is, that's a species on our checklist that is, or that shows us that the habitat is good, that it's well, it's a well-functioning habitat. So the positive indicators really want to outweigh the negatives, of course. Negatives, for example, I'd say on thinking meadows now and stuff would be, you know, an overabundance of creeping thistle, ragwort, you know, that kind of stuff. So here, those positive indicators are actually really good, especially in places like this because it's so open. We get so much of it, and thanks to these wonderful beasts, they keep that openness, they keep grazing, they keep treading on the ground, and their footfall creates that kind of openness that we need in the heath, that bare ground habitat. They're all sheltering here because it's so hot, of course. These guys are actually slightly smaller than your average. I'd say your average cow is like a British Wight, quite big, but these are Shetlands. So they're a hardy species, they're a rare breed. They are, I think, they were endangered, they were put on the endangered list back in something like 81. And they're doing reasonably well. We've got actually quite a lot of them. I can't think how many now by the trust. But they are a very hardy species. So being a Shetland cow, they're good for all weathers, as you can imagine, and conditions, but specifically kind of poor forage or harder conditions. So for us, they're ideal, A, because they're slightly smaller, they don't poach as much, they still do all of the good stuff that we need cattle to do, but they're also, you know, they're pretty gentle. They can be flighty, the same as the rest of the cows, but usually only when it comes to something small, furry with teeth gnashing around them.
So what would your advice be, Guy, to anybody who's a bit worried about coming across?
Well, you see our lad here. I think it's a lad anyway. Are you a lad? I take it back. You're a girl. So this heifer kind of came on over because I started talking. I'm quite loud, and it stopped. So it wants to see what we're about, but actually, once it realises that we're nothing remotely threatening, it kind of just wants to see. It stops. It gave a few head tosses. I don't know if you saw that. It's just a quick warning. But actually, all you're really doing is, if for example, we wanted to walk through here, okay, it's a big enough place, we can easily get around it. But dog straight on the lead, okay, from way back there, really. I mean, obviously we're walking up to them, you know, we saw them anyway. But it's just a case of walking straight through and not really stopping. It's being confident. It's walking in a straight line. It's talking to them. You get bonus points, by the way, if you seem slightly unhinged. So if you can talk to the cows and you contact them. See, there's another another kind of sign, but it's already stepping slightly back. And as I'm walking past, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise my arms slightly, but only slightly. And I'm just going to say, excuse me. I'm just going to walk straight by. If I had a dog at this point, I'd keep it on the lead. And again, if I was walking by, I'd take a route round. Obviously, you don't have to get that close. In fact, I highly advise you don't. But clearly, it doesn't want anything to do with me. It's very much a case of just watching. You know, they're so interested in doing what they want to do. The only time they're really ever going to be, I'd say, you know, remotely interested really is if there's a threat.
So it's worth saying, Guy, that, you know, you've worked with cows for a long time.
Yeah.
We would always advise the public to take an alternative route if they're worried about
absolutely
coming across the cows.
It's so massive, this area, that you can take any kind of route you want. All I'm really kind of demonstrating, I suppose, here is that you can walk straight by these beasts and they'll just keep doing what they want to do. But you do want to try and kind of keep as far away from them as possible, especially if, of course, if you've got a dog. And put the dog straight on a lead, so it's the dog straight on the lead, walk past, try and get past as far away as possible, but keep walking. The moment you stop is when they start getting curious, like this one has, and they'll start hearing voices and they'll want to kind of get involved. So don't stop, keep walking.
Unfortunately, I don't know if some of you have noticed who are watching, we have got some litter left behind here.
Yeah.
And there's another one over here around by the cows.
Yep.
So again, just another ask just to please take that litter home with you if you're coming out to these sites.
I'm just glad we haven't got any burn sites. But yeah.
So we're rounding up now. We've got about 5 minutes left. I hope you've enjoyed our tour of Longmoor. If you do have any questions, please just pop them in the comments box. Because we will be finishing up soon. Any questions about cows or heathlands and heathland plants? Really welcomed.
We actually, as a wildlife trust, we will teach lookering training, so livestock training, aka lookers, and we've got our this training has been going on since before I was here, actually, for 7 years, so it must have been going on since 2006 or 7 when we started. It's well thought of, and it gives people, I guess, really that kind of confidence, but more importantly, that knowledge of animal behaviour. So I think it's really important for us, it's definitely important for us as a grazing operation, because we know that we've got guys out there that are trained. It's like a kind of MOT test, really, for the cattle, and they're our kind of eyes and ears, so they're out most of the days. We try and kind of plug up a 7-day week with lookers, and each one will have an individual day, and they'll come out, they'll looker it, they'll put it on a private blog, and then we'll read it pretty much every day of the week.
So these are local volunteers who come out and check the cattle for you.
Yeah.
And anybody can do that, Guy, right?
Anyone, yeah, quite literally. I haven't got a poster here, but we've got posters around the sites, and yeah, it's really just a case of having that time just to commit to a singular day in the week. Really, that's all we ask. And yeah, and you know, anyone that walks out.
Similarly, we have our dog ambassadors role as well, which is local.
Sam.
Yes.
Fantastic.
They're local dog walkers who help us spread messages about our heathlands, educated messages about when might be good to keep your dog on a lead, for example during ground nesting bird season, and those roles are open to any local volunteers who want to get involved. Obviously at the moment during COVID we're not currently taking on extra volunteers. I don't know what your situation is, Guy.
We've literally only just managed to open it up to 2 volunteers per session, so I've just done my second session actually. It's worked out really well. We keep our distance obviously, and it's really easy to be able to do that because we're out in really open areas like this. So yeah, I'm kind of racking up interest and just bringing people out 2 by 2 yeah, individual reserves.
Yeah, so if you're interested, we'd still like to hear from you. We may not be able to do anything straight away, but yeah, we'd still love to hear from you if that's something that you would like to get involved with. So I think we'll probably say goodbye, Guy.
Gone too quick, hasn't it?
It has gone really quick.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of stuff to talk about, but I think in general they're really precious sites, and the cows do a fantastic job for us. Yeah, get the dogs on the lead. You know, it's not too much of a bother. They usually spook each other around gorse bushes, etc. So it's always good to just get them on the lead, get them past it, and then you can continue on your way. They really don't bother you. They're really just after what they want to do, which is eating, making little pats, and more eating.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.